Hello, thank you for attending our webinar today. Our topic is mobile search and QR codes. But before we get started, I'd like to give you a little bit of background on Pointit. Pointit was launched in April of 2002. We are Seattle's largest independent search marketing firm, and we have services that we lead with, like paid search management and SEO. Over the last year, we managed $30 million in media budgets, and the team has over 40 years of experience in search, servicing clients across all vertical and revenue models. But before we get into the presentation, I'd like to do a little bit of housekeeping. This presentation will be recorded, and a link to both the on-demand recording and a link to the slide deck will be emailed out either later this week or early next week. During the presentation, we encourage you to ask questions through the GoToWebinar interface because we're going to follow up and answer them at the end. And the questions that we don't get to, we will follow up with you personally either later this week or early next week. So it is my pleasure to introduce Dustin Lewis, who's going to be telling us a little bit more about mobile search behaviorally as well as kind of how to use it. Take it away, Dustin.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to first take a second and thank everyone for listening in. My name is Dustin Lewis. I'm a client manager here at Pointit. And what I have for you today is, in my opinion, kind of the cream of the crop from what I learned concerning mobile from SMX West in San Jose, California this year, along with some emerging trends I can see happening in the mobile industry, wrapping it all up with some best practices for actually building mobile campaigns, tips that will certainly help you out if you're new or beginning out in mobile. So without further ado, we have a lot to get through in a relatively short amount of time. So let's dive right in. Okay, so this first slide is basically designed to give you a 40,000-foot view of the current state of affairs, where the mobile industry currently is and where it's going. And all of that can really be summed up with a few short words, and that is the revolution of mobile. Spending on mobile advertising is projected to grow 48% in 2011, topping $1 billion in the U.S. alone. Now, although smaller in total dollars, the estimates mean mobile advertising is continuing to grow faster than social media spend. Circa 2010, there was a 20.3% growth projection for social spend compared to the torrid 79% growth for mobile. Mobile obviously only continuing to take off. $743 million in ad spend last year, with a projected $2.5 billion in ad spend for 2014. So truly mind-boggling numbers. And the great part about this growth is that as the industry expands, advertisers are becoming more educated with how they appeal to the market. We're moving farther and farther away from simple SMX text advertising to full, rich, multimedia ads, really in context to video and display. So with this tremendous growth in the mobile industry, it would be a safe bet to almost assume almost everyone out there is engaging in mobile search in one form or the other, right? Well, sadly wrong. The truth is mobile marketing is far from the level of engagement concerning other more traditional marketing channels. Currently, only around 30% of marketers use mobile in their campaigns. However, around half of marketers surveyed plan on employing it within the next 12 months, per a survey conducted by Forrester Research. Now, when we think about the fact that half of marketers surveyed are planning to employ mobile within the next 12 months, the source of this kind of rampant growth becomes a little more clear. Now, with that said, mobile certainly has its obstacles. Analytics tools need to be improved so clients can better understand ROI. Marketers need to better understand their target audience and how customers engage with their mobile devices. And lastly, there needs to be a solid understanding of some of the best practices concerning building a mobile campaign. Now, what people really need to understand is that these barriers to mobile are diminishing quickly. Many companies can already measure, the number of mobile visitors, page views, and time spent on site, but there are a plethora of companies such as Omniture, Bango, AppClicks working to develop products to give marketers clear insight concerning their return on mobile. And if you don't think you have a mobile audience for your product or service, you are really just living in a state of denial. I assure you, you do. So what does the revolution of mobile look with the eye on the consumer themselves? And the name of the game is simple: smartphones. Momentum in the mobile device market has really swung in favor of smartphones, particularly due to the rapid adoption of the iPhone and kind of the bevy of competitors that it has really lured to the market. And again, some of these numbers are pretty ridiculous. 1.9 billion internet users compared to 5 billion mobile users. 109.5 million smartphone users projected for 2015. Now keep in mind that the vast majority of mobile owners in the U.S. only have a simple feature phone, but eMarketer predicts smartphone ownership will increase from 31% of the mobile population this year to 43% by 2015. Some other interesting stats: smartphone searches increasing 4x over last year, according to Google, with worldwide mobile search experiencing a 2.3 times growth between the fourth quarter in 2009 and the fourth quarter in 2010, ultimately resulting in a 5x growth over the last 2 years. So what's the bottom line? $2 billion in retail sales via mobile phones in 2010. And if that's not reason enough to get in the mobile game, I do not know what is. So how do mobile users utilize their smartphones? Bottom line, mobile users make purchases. And here are some interesting emerging trends that we've been seeing among mobile users, organized in a way that follows a basic buying cycle pattern. Dual screen multitasking is popular and probably something you've been hearing a lot of lately. Mobile searchers report at least occasional use of mobile search while watching TV, about 66%, or using the computer, about 45%. 71% of mobile users learn about a product after seeing an ad, while 73% find a specific manufacturer or product website. And to build upon that, 56% find coupons or deals, while a greater 68% find the best price, or basic comparison shopping. And to top it off, 75% of mobile searches take place while running errands, and about half of mobile searches have resulted in a purchase within the last 6 months. So realistically, the main idea here being that marketers need to pay attention to these trends when forecasting strategy, budgeting, etc. Mobile devices are increasingly claiming more media time per day, while more traditional channels such as TV, print, radio are losing ground to digital media. And by learning how people interact with digital media after being exposed to more traditional channels of outbound marketing, only then will us as marketers have a better understanding of basically how to employ our mobile campaigns. So the main question that everyone wants answered is, how does this affect my business? And the answer is actually pretty simple. Price transparency has become a force to be reckoned with the growing number of mobile applications and services that let consumers compare the prices of products across multiple retail locations, while the consumer is shopping and ready to purchase. More and more consumers are turning to their mobile devices to find the lowest prices while they are actually in the store. Now, as you can imagine, this growing trend is basically spiking competition between retailers, but there are a few other effects you need to be aware of. With the rise of local search, different prices by geography and channel within a retailer's chain are being exposed to the end consumer. So, in essence, retailers really need to invest in mobile technology to target their customers with promos, specials, discounts, as opposed to simple price matching their competitors. And a short and easy slide to remind everyone why this all matters: mobile drives revenue. Mobile revenue has increased 750% year over year with the inclusion of Click-to-Call in May of 2010. So with these next few slides, we're going to kind of take a step back from our overall industry view and get right into mobile user behavior, particularly how it differs from desktop and what, as marketers, we need to know so we can effectively target this audience. And the first thing you need to be aware of is that day-of-week activity is unique by device. This via Jeff Liccardi of Performix. And the main idea being that mobile and paid search are complementary to one another, an idea that will also come up later in our presentation. And this is really completely intuitive. Desktop dominates weekdays, likely due to the typical work week when people are anchored to their computers, with mobile really picking up on Friday and continuing to gain clicks through the weekend when less people are likely to be stuck in the office, stuck at a computer, more likely to be on the go. And based on this information alone, we can kind of start to hypothesize about how to properly target our mobile users. So in being a little more specific, we see that intraday data shows increasing mobile traffic as the day continues. Mobile impressions having a hard peak around 9 a.m. where a large amount of the workforce is settling into their offices, vastly decreasing as the day goes on, while desktop remains fairly stable throughout the day. Alternatively, if we switch over to clicks, this is where things get a little more interesting. Mobile clicks climb throughout the day, maxing out between 6 to 9 p.m. and continuing ahead of desktop. So, in other words, it is crucial to have mobile coverage throughout the later part of the evening. And again, this is also pretty intuitive. People are off work, they're getting home, they're relaxing, and the last thing they want to do is look at a computer screen. Mobile users are highly engaged on their mobile devices during these hours. And lastly, I love the idea that this helps reaffirm the second screen during commercial breaks. You know, it's 6 o'clock, you're off work, you flip on the TV, and what do you do when it switches to commercial? You grab your iPhone, your Android, your BlackBerry to surf the web or check your email. Something we're starting to see more and more, leading to the increase in clicks during this time period. Now, an awesome case study to basically illustrate the double screen effect comes via Paul Cushman of Yahoo. And what his team did was analyze mobile user traffic on Yahoo's homepage during the Oscars this year. So let me break down this graph for you. You have Yahoo Mobile front page user traffic before, during, and after the Oscars. And those little orange circles are actually the TV commercial breaks. And you'll notice all the spikes in mobile traffic coincide perfectly with the commercial breaks, with the highest peaks actually plus 39% occurring after the show, suggesting that users look beyond TV post the event to learn and read more about what they're interested in. So what did Paul's team specifically find? Well, traffic and engagement on Yahoo Mobile increased pretty significantly during the Oscars, and all of these stats are in context to commercial breaks. You know, a 12% average increase in traffic and engagement on Yahoo Mobile overall during commercials, a 39% increase in content consumption on Yahoo Mobile front page, 125% higher browsing activity on the news, and a 13% increase in search, and a 6% increase in checking and sending emails. So what does this mean for us as marketers? And I think the possibilities here are really endless. During commercial breaks, mobile users are searching for deeper, more submersive content. They're searching for a higher level of engagement than what they're currently being provided. Advertisers can learn to target their audience during these times, either through email blasts, SMS messaging, coupons, special deals. The possibilities here are really only limited by your imagination. So what I'd like to do now is stay on the topic of behavior, but switch gears a little bit and make 2 points. The first being that mobile is supplemental to more traditional channels of marketing, and this via Dennis Glavitt of Microsoft. Specifically, 37% of consumers reported leveraging mobile to look for more information after seeing a product advertised via an outdoor newspaper or radio ad. Secondly, 40% of consumers reported leveraging mobile to look for more information after seeing a product advertised via television. And the main idea here is that we shouldn't disregard more traditional channels of marketing. They obviously still have a purpose, but outbound marketing needs to be integrated with your digital media in order to have a cohesive and sustainable marketing plan. And these percentages make sense. I know I myself have been out and about, multiple times, saw a billboard or ad for a product I thought, was interesting, and in not having access to my computer immediately, searched for the product and where I could find it locally on my phone. Which brings me to my next point. Mobile is local. And if you remember only two things from this discussion, remember these two things. Mobile is supplemental to desktop and mobile is local. And to illustrate these 2 points, Dennis Glavin's team followed a mobile user over a period of 2 days, and what they found was that at-home queries compete with desktop and are informational in nature. And if you look over in the side box under day 1/residential, you'll see that the mobile user is in a residential area and their mobile queries are very informational in nature. Animal shelter, dog pound, animal control, very general queries. Now if we contrast that with day 2 down below, we'll see the queries to be much more specific. Pink puppy supplies, pink pet kennel, Home Depot, and are taking place in a commercial area where the consumer is presumably ready to purchase. So, in other words, on-the-go queries really supplement desktop search volume. They center on local action. They have much higher, greater commercial intent. Understanding these traits and how users utilize desktop and smartphones in the buying cycle can only help us as marketers better target these mobile searchers. So before we transition into some other topics, I thought it was important to provide everyone with a little more concrete of an example of the power of mobile advertising in action. And this example comes again from Jeff of Performance. And specifically, Jeff had a client, a manufacturer/retailer, who wanted to better understand the ways in which users interacted with their brands on mobile devices. So they tested, your basic paid search ads, your standard text ads, versus the inclusion of a click-to-call feature and location plus box, giving the user a map of retail locations in the area. And on average, he saw a 5 to 30% increase in CTR across his campaigns. And this was a fairly common theme at SMX. Simple things such as setting up click-to-call, locations extensions, had a dramatic effect on click-through rate and the engagement level on your ads overall. Now, the flip side of this experiment is, of course, revenue. And the bottom line, as we've said before, mobile drives revenue. With the simple inclusion of click-to-call, Jeff saw revenue increase by 50% for some of his campaigns. Total sales grew in the mobile channel by 53%, with ROI increasing by 52% for some campaigns. And in looking at the graph, you can see the upward efficient trend of revenue increasing with the rise in call volume, meaning people are not calling solely for information. They're calling because they're ready to make a purchase. And click-to-call is a great way of capturing your customers when they are in the buy phase of the purchase cycle, not simply interested in information. They want to talk to real people. They want to buy your product or service. So before we get into some best practices, I wanted to take a minute and discuss some tips and considerations marketers often face when trying to appeal to a mobile audience. And the first and probably the most important, in my opinion, is landing pages. Now, as a retailer, it is absolutely critical that your mobile customer experiences the same level of ease that they normally would if they were shopping and browsing on their laptop, from finding basic information to completing a purchase. Layouts with large buttons, minimizing the text, minimal scrolling, and a simple checkout process will aid any mobile searcher in getting to where they want to go quickly, really improving their overall experience on your site. And as marketers, we see this all the time. Sites that are not optimized for mobile, where you have to scroll, resize the screen, re-enter all your sensitive information multiple times, and we wonder why so many people do not complete the purchase. So in essence, having a mobile optimized landing page isn't really a question. It's something you need to do. Dennis Glevin gives a great example from companies that get this, Expedia being one of them, going from 100 plus places to click, and you can imagine the nightmare trying to navigate that on your phone with just 6 places to click. But just to be fair, I wanted to show both sides of the coin and compare and contrast mobile sites versus applications, something that has turned into somewhat of an ongoing discussion in the world of online marketing. And there are positives and negatives depending on which way you go. The first consideration is obviously going to be cost. $30,000 on average for a mobile site or application, though I believe most of us probably agree you can probably save some money by just producing an app. The downside, if you wanted to target multiple operating systems, for example, Android, iPhone, BlackBerry, you guessed it, your cost of developing your app just tripled to $90,000 as each operating system demands a unique application. Also keep in mind that each of these platforms compromise really a small snippet of your total internet audience. So by only targeting one operating system, you severely ignore a large portion of your target audience. Further, how are you going to use your app? There are numerous things to consider. Should you drive people to your website, allow purchases via your app, generate ad revenue, maybe a mix of all 3 of these things? Again, this all depends on your business model and what specifically you're trying to accomplish. Further, emphasis needs to be made on how your app is used. If it doesn't provide utility to the customer, don't expect the customer to engage. A lot of businesses, in my opinion, are in the practice of creating applications that look great but don't actually achieve the strategic message of their brand or any type of return on investment for the company for that matter. So the key message here, deliver relevant content to your customers. And lastly, reach. Websites garner far more uniques, but usage is about 5x on an app over a mobile website. The flip side of that, only 26% of applications actually get opened after they're downloaded. It's certainly a maze, and which route you choose, again, depends on your business model and the goals for your company. Alright guys, so to wrap everything up, I wanted to leave everyone with kind of a quick crash course on some mobile best practices per Dennis Glevin I think are absolutely fantastic, especially if you're first starting out in mobile. And the first tip being what you've ruled out in PC, rule back in for mobile. The key takeaway here being that mobile is still new. It's growing and changing in rhythm with the growth of our mobile technology. Don't be afraid to experiment in your campaigns, as mobile is anything but a hard science just yet. Number 2, start fresh with root terms. This is where the majority of your traffic will come from. Build a base of keywords with root terms concerning your product and or service and optimize from there for performance. Number 3, get aggressive on position. And again, this is pretty intuitive concerning desktop. The more people scroll, the less chance you have of them seeing and clicking on your ad. Now take that idea and amplify it by about 1,000 when someone is using a smartphone. So start bidding aggressively now. Number 4, test the tail, and I love this idea. Most proponents of mobile search are pretty wary concerning phrase match, as the average mobile query is less than 3 words. However, a significant portion of mobile revenue on Bing comes from tail terms, so give it a shot and see what works for you. Number 5, a strong call to action. On your smartphone, call now, click to call. Calls to action drive results, and results drive you revenue. Bottom line, a strong call to action can really increase performance and ensures the customer of a positive user experience. And like Jeff Licardi of Performance said, click-to-call has increased revenue by up to 50% in some of his campaigns. And I'm actually going to forego reviewing landing pages, but instead emphasize the idea of separating your mobile campaigns from your campaigns targeting other devices. And 3 quick reasons. Number 1, control. 2 huge components of your campaign's performance is quality score and your related CPCs. Separating mobile from desktop makes it infinitely easier for you to make the keyword organizational, and bid changes necessary for optimal performance, and to clearly see the results these changes are having on the bottom line. Mobile and desktop are two different animals, so don't assume what's working in one will work in the other. Number 2, targeting. Build your mobile campaigns targeted to specific devices to control your user experience. iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, iPad. What sets these users apart from one another? Should you concentrate all your efforts on one segment over the other? Geo-target your users for increased relevance as, after all, mobile, they are on the go. And lastly, reporting. Do yourself a favor and save yourself from the dreadful task of muddling through your analytics numbers to somehow decipher what percentage of revenue mobile is responsible for. Separate mobile from desktop and see the impact on your business clearly and quickly. You'll have a clear idea as to what channels are growing faster than others. So that wraps up my portion for mobile marketing. I'll pass it over to Serge, who will be discussing QR codes, which I think will supplement mobile well. On to you, Serge.
Thank you, Dustin. Hello, everyone. And again, my name is Serge Bonder. I'm a client manager here at Pointed, and I will talk about QR codes and their importance for your marketing campaigns. I'm going to tell you what QR codes are, how they connect your offline and online marketing efforts. Also, I'll explain the business value and applications and best practices for using QR codes. As Dustin told us, given the speed of mobile adoption and growth projections of smartphone usage, mobile will soon be the primary digital means that consumers use to interact with brands, friends, retailers, and other businesses. This presents a tremendous opportunity for marketing professionals like us to interact directly with consumers anytime and anywhere. So let me tell you how you take advantage of this. What is QR code? QR stands for quick response. A QR code is a two-dimensional, usually square, barcode that can contain a variety of encoded information and can be read with a smartphone that has a camera. A QR code is more useful than a standard barcode because it can store more data than regular barcodes, including like text. It could initiate email, initiate a text message, even a phone call. Very important is that you can store a site link in the URL, and a QR reader can take you to the page that encoded in the QR code. It could also store a business card tracker or a calendar entry. So QR code is a great supplement for almost any marketing campaign, and let me show you why. So why would you use, first of all? Here's the reasons why we should be interested in using QR codes for our campaigns. They are fairly inexpensive and easy to generate. There is a number of free QR code generators available online. One of this is Google URL Shortener, or another one is Kaya, and many others. Just Google them. They're very easy to implement. You generate the QR code and you take the image and place it on your media. One of the important reasons why you'd like to use QR codes is that they can drive traffic from multiple sources. And since they have numerous applications, you can generate visits to your sites from almost anywhere. You can bring your non-media, non-digital media like offline newspapers, magazines to life by connecting your online and offline media. You can gather social feedback, like here with example Best Buy, by placing those thumbs up and thumbs down QR codes and gathering the mood of shoppers in their stores. You can enhance the shopping experience by placing QR codes with additional information about the products next to on the packaging. You can extend your brand experience, and you can bring the mystery and fun to your campaigns. And who uses barcodes? Well, here's the thing. Many major brands are already using mobile barcodes for their marketing, and 22% of the Fortune 50 have already been using them. And this indicates that QR codes are going mainstream, especially with the growth of smartphone usage. However, not everyone yet knows about QR codes. So here's some background. You're all familiar with UPC barcodes. Generally, you can find them on most of the products. These barcodes represent data by varying spacing of parallel lines, and they may be referred as linear or one-dimensional codes. The disadvantage of these codes is that they can store only the numbers, while later they evolved into rectangles, dots, rounds, and other geometric codes in 2 dimensions. The 2-dimensional structure allows them to store much more information and have a wider variety of applications. QR codes are usually scanned with QR readers, scanners, and smartphones. And currently, there are about 70 different types of barcodes that exist, and most of them have very specific fields of applications like logistics. QR codes, or mobile tags, are currently most popular in Asia and especially Japan. This is actually where they came from. QR code was developed in Japanese corporation DensoWave in 1994 and went mainstream in 2003 in Japan. And ever since, it has been used in several fields of mobile marketing. Well, you can see a few examples here, like QR code, data matrix, EasyCode, and Microsoft Tag. Microsoft Tag is specifically designed for marketing purposes and based on the company's self-developed high-capacity color barcode. And the data is encoded depending on the color of those little triangles. The reason for the success of mobile tagging, besides just the flexibility in multiple fields of application, is a quick, precise, and customer-driven access to the information. The user is able to gather that information immediately just by scanning a QR code, for example, in advertisement. So let me show you how it works. You need 2 things. Smartphone with a camera and internet connectivity, and a QR code reader. For example, Google's mobile Android operating system natively supports QR codes, while Apple's iOS operating system for iPhones and iPods requires a QR code app, and there is plenty of those available in the App Store, and there are many free ones. And you can see the screenshot from my iPhone here with a number of QR code readers. So how it works: you pull your smartphone, you point on a QR code, then it scans it, it decodes it, and takes you to the encoded action. It could be almost anything. It could be a website or some other text or a business card or anything else. You'd ask where I'd find these QR codes. Well, they slowly but surely are taken all over the place. You can see QR codes pop up on buildings, on billboards, on business cards. It could be a mobile app, or it could be a wine or Coke bottles, and sometimes tattoos. I went to Best Buy a few days ago, and I snapped that price tag with my camera with a QR code, and QR code takes you to the Best Buy website, a specific page for that product with more information and ability to order online. So this is kind of cool, and I really like that. So this is not it. There is way more QR code applications, and honestly, they're infinite. They're limited only by your imagination. It could be product packaging, business cards, printed ads in newspapers, magazines. It could be TV commercials, mugs, coffee cups, almost anywhere where you can print them on. So pretty wide application. In order to prove my point, let me show you some QR code and barcode usage worldwide. They experience an exponential growth. According to 3G Vision's press release in first quarter of 2011, barcode usage has grown almost 62% of the previous quarter in 2010. And you can see the top 5 growing countries for first quarter. I'm not mentioning Japan and Korea, who are the leaders, but just want to illustrate how it's growing in the United States, where it's 181% growth over the previous quarter, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Spain, and Canada. Also, interesting information on QR codes is that 69% of people who scan QR codes are between ages 25 and 65. So it's not just a young audience, it's a whole variety of ages. And 51% of those people make over 50,000 K a year. So it's a good potential buyers for your products and services. By the way, the top US cities for barcode usage are New York, Houston, Chicago, San Antonio, and Las Vegas. So, how QR code can serve your business objectives? You can enhance your marketing campaigns with QR codes. They could drive traffic to your website. They could generate leads. You can acquire new offline customers. You can retain them. You can improve conversions for your products and services. You can gather feedback of those people and provide customer and technical support. And at the same time, you can add the value to your customer. You can engage them by providing some exclusive content or discounts by encoding, for example, a discount code into a coupon. Or it could be gifts, freebies, Easter eggs, almost anything. You can include even a direct buy link into your QR code, for example, on a concert poster, so people can scan it and it'll take them to the page where they can buy those tickets directly. Let me give you a few best practices on using QR codes. As Dustin told us, that you need to think mobile friendly. This is probably the most important. Imagine that someone sees a cool thing in a magazine, goes, finds the app as instructed, downloads it, and scans the code, and only to arrive at a desktop page. And last time they could have just entered a website address into their phone. So they just wasted not only their time, but they've been taken advantage of. So this is the main rule of QR codes. If you're linking to your website or any page, make sure you build a mobile-friendly website to provide the proper user experience. And do not only directly link to the home page, but build special page that offers something they could not get by just going to the web address, and give them a way to participate, to respond, and to interact. Here's more. Make sure you place codes in scannable locations. You need to avoid obstructions, and if it's a billboard, consider driver safety, and make sure you provide enough time for people to scan the code, like in TV commercials, and make sure they have enough distance to make it work. QR codes sized, for example, for fortune cookies cannot be scanned by 3-megapixel camera phones. So a safe size for QR code in packaging or print ads is about 1 by 1 inch. And when you put your QR codes or mobile tags, make sure you explain how to use them. Provide some instructions along with the QR code so people know what to do with them. And of course tell them what's going to happen upon scanning and what kind of action awaits them after scanning the QR code. And for those who don't have the ability to use the code but interested, you can include a link where the code would take them. Of course, it's better to include a short URL for better, so people can remember and use it later. How would you, the big question, how would you track your QR code campaigns? If you're already using Google Analytics, you can do it easily by just building a specific QR code trackable URL by adding some tags, and use the Google Analytics URL builder, and it will generate a QR code that is friendly for your campaign.
So Serge, I wanted to jump in here really fast and ask a question. If the content of your web page actually changes after building the QR code, do you have to create a new QR code from scratch, or how does that work?
That is a really good question. Actually, you don't have to. QR code can stay the same, but you can update the content on your page or site as long as you keep the same destination URL. And this is actually a good thing. You can bring new updates, new content, and generate visitors comes back. So, thanks, Destin. And talking about tools you can use for QR code tracking, there are multiple tools available. One of those is Google URL Shortener. It not only provides the short, friendly URL, but also generates a QR code that you can use further in your campaigns. It also provides high-level data on what's the sources of clicks, what platforms are used, and provide some timeline graphs on QR code scans. And last but not the least, be creative. QR codes include an error correction level up to 30%, and that helps to make sure damaged codes can be read. But it also gives you some room for creativity, and you can place your tags, logos, you can into the QR code, and it could be even a different shape and still readable. So make them stand out among others and attract attention of people. Well, that was QR codes, and I think we are ready for some questions. Everyone is welcome to post your question, and we'll be glad to answer those. Give us a second. A few people asked if the slides will be available. Yes, they will, and later this week or early next week we will email direct links to the decks and recordings. Mark asked, are QR codes different across different mobile platforms? No, they're not. They are universal, and you can use almost any platform. As I mentioned, you can use Android phones or iPhones as long as they're capable of reading QR codes. They're pretty standard.
So guys, I'm actually going to jump in here and read a mobile question. And it says, once you build your mobile application, how do you get potential users to download it? And what we've seen, in my opinion, to be most successful is when clients promote their application probably to their own customer base, whether that's through their website, just top of mind, either things like email blasts and newsletter distributions, perhaps a less successful strategy promoting through mobile ad networks. But my first suggestion is by far to reach out to your existing customers and promote your application based upon that. Another question for mobile, if limited resources forced you to choose one over the other, what would you suggest? Investing in a mobile app or mobile site? And again, I think this really kind of depends on the goals and objectives of your business, as I was discussing earlier. If your goal, is to drive as many visitors as possible, there's no question that a mobile site gets far more traffic. However, if you're less concerned about volume and more concerned about really engaging with your customers, usage is pretty higher on applications. Applications also provide you with the ability to do stuff like drive people to your site, generate ad revenue and the like. If you're limited on budget, I would suggest probably starting with an application, but anyone who is serious about mobile, I feel, needs to have a mobile site really to ensure mobile users that positive user experience.
Thanks, Destin. We have quite a few questions about QR codes generators, and I think I will take your questions offline and just answer individually and email more information on how you can generate the QR codes and track them.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending our webinar today. I apologize if we didn't get to all of your questions. Like Serge just said, what we'll do is in the upcoming week we'll follow up with all of you individually. If you have any questions about mobile or QR codes in general, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And if you have any ideas for future topics for webinars, also please reach out to us and let us know. We will follow up with a copy of the presentation as well as an on-demand copy of this presentation today within the week. So anyways, thank you again for attending, and we hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll hope to see you next time.